What's up, guys, and welcome to my Final Fantasy 15 game diary. Been a while since I've had to do anything in a diary form. The last time my dad found my diary, I was 15 but a young woman struggling to get by in high school life. That's not right. Um, Diary, personal, intimate. That's why I'm not using a green screen and you can see my television with Final Fantasy 15 on it. Uh, Way more used to doing reviews and opinion pieces, that which you can see on geeksgamers.com if you're so interested. But Final Fantasy 15 is here. It's out finally after 9 years. 9 years. 9 whole years. And I'm about 11 and a half hours into it. Man, finally here. I love Final Fantasy. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I love it. First time I ever saw Final Fantasy, I think I was like 8 years old, and I was at my friend David Haber's house, and his older brother Matt was playing it. And after that, I demanded, I told my mom, I need Final Fantasy. So she got it for me, and of course I was 8, so I had no idea of what I was doing. I'm not going to lie and was like, I was 8 years old, and I beat every game known to man because I'm a child prodigy. No, that didn't happen at all. It wasn't until much later I went back as an adult and finished Final Fantasy. But my first beat through of a Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy VII when I was 15 years old. It come out right after my birthday, like 6-7 days after my birthday, and I was hooked. And it really is the game that got me into RPGs. And I was really hoping that Final Fantasy 15 would be the next Final Fantasy 7, something that grabbed me emotionally and changed the way that I thought about video games or game playing. And I know that's really hard to do nowadays for anything. And that's like my secret desire going into this game. You know, it's not something I've voiced to a lot of people because I so famously bashed Square Enix. You can go down the list of videos into the reaction section, playlist, and see that I did talk a little bit of crap. But yeah, I picked this game, or actually this game got delivered to my house on the day that it came out. UPS came about 4 hours early, so I was super stoked about that. And I immediately popped it in and started jamming out on it. Didn't even wait for the update. I was like, nope, don't even care. Let's just play. So far, the things that have impressed me the most starting off have really been the visuals. From the moment you start the game to where you're in that dark room with the heat and the fire and what looks to be a stone god on a chair, fighting a much older version of your team of Noctis, Gladio, Ignis, and Prompto. It's, you're just like, wow, this is a really great looking game. And as you get into Hammerhead and the Golden Key and the Prairie Outpost and everything in between, it's very dusty, almost. It's probably the most resemblance of like Utah I've ever seen in a game. Or even like northern New Mexico, if you've ever been there or lived there like I have, where it's desert, but it's still got a little bit of like foliage and stuff going around. It's really a good looking game. And when you get to Golden Key, obviously, you're at the ocean, and the water effects just look cool. Like they're really well done. One of the things that always impresses me in a game is when water hits sand, and if it looks like a beach, because as some of you may know, I live in Florida now, and if it looks like what I see when I go to the beach, then I'm super stoked. So visually, really great, right? The only drawback that I have from it at the moment is a couple of the hair stuff. Sometimes the hair doesn't look so great. It'll do this weird like mesh thing, where it looks like mesh hair coming down, and some of the animations when you're in the car and the wind's going through it, it looks kind of weird. But Other than that, it's pretty jaw dropping. Probably one of the best games I've ever seen. Especially the food. When you stop at a campground and Ignis makes whatever dish you decide that the crew needs to eat, it looks real and it makes you hungry. As I got up and had to eat several times because of Ignis's food. Yeah, team fat. But you know, as soon as you start off in Hammerhead, the ball really gets rolling in the game. You go start doing missions and side quests, and this is a little bit different than most Final Fantasies. It's so much more westernized, and that's something that was so apparent from the 2 demos that they dropped to let fans really see what they were working on, because it is definitely more Skyrim or Elder Scrolls or Fallout even than it is anything that Square Enix has done before. From the way that you can fill up your side quest list, to the way that you move around the world. No more top-down overworld map or loading times going into a town. Pretty much it's seamless. The only time that there was a loading time for me transitioning from one area to the next was when I went to my first dungeon. So that's cool. It's definitely inspired on a lot of the stuff that they did for Final Fantasy XIV, which is their MMORPG, to where it's much more open, which is indicative of an open world, right? So I mean that's like a first for Final Fantasy. You can really just almost go anywhere. Granted, when you start, you can only pretty much stay on the eastern coast, and I've only done up to about Chapter 2. I'm in Chapter 3 right now, where the world opens up a lot more. But once you're in Chapter 3, you're, going anywhere you want, pretty much. And it feels way more like Fallout in that aspect than it does in, Final Fantasy, where they're like, you don't have an airship, so you can't go to this next place, or, you don't have the boat, you can't go here. I think one of them was you needed a pair of boots to walk through mud. But I really enjoy it. The combat, even, which is the most westernized thing, as no more are we in any sort of turn-based or turn-based combat, which Final Fantasy has been teasing for God knows how long, since 12. Maybe even 11. The first attempt at an MMORPG. It's way more combos now. You can pretty much move around. Well, you can not pretty much. You can move around the entire area, and I love that. Like I love the fact that we are in a full combat style Final Fantasy, because 12 really teased you with it, and you're like, I kind of feel like you guys are. You could have gone the full distance. This could have been full action instead of that halfway thing. And then 13 had the Paradigm System, which is the most underrated, I think, battle system of all time for Final Fantasy. I would have really loved to have seen a much better game with that fighting system, because once you got to realize its full potential when you fought all the secret big bosses or the Cocoon's open world bosses, and harder enemies, that's when you really got a good feel for the Paradigm System, and it was awesome. It was so awesome. But in this, the combos are really cool. Switching the weapons is awesome. When you start getting the King's weapons, or the Armitage weapons, or whatever the hell they're called at this point, the ones where they have kept that initial idea from the trailer in 2007, where you get to see Noctis walking downstairs and these swords just kind of materialize out of thin air and attack all these enemies, which was the thing that got me so hooked on Final Fantasy Versus 13. You start getting those weapons, and they eat up health points, or hit points, which sucks. But man, do they do a lot of damage, which is cool. The thing about combat that I don't like right now is the magic. The fact that you can hit your own guys with magic is kind of cheap. They already put a limitation on your magic by making it to where you can only use a certain spell a certain amount of times by using elemancy, which is you create your spell. So being able to hit your own guys, like I use magic like maybe 4 or 5 times throughout the entire 11 and a half hours now, because I'll hit my guys by accident, or they'll run into fire on the ground and get set on fire, and then I wind up having to heal, and it's really not worth it. So I don't know, like, hopefully magic becomes more useful. I feel like they could have done something a little bit better to balance how powerful magic is, without having it go, oh, well, you're going to hit your guys. And that's just me. I don't really like it. The combat's really fast and furious as well, so magic almost slows the game down. Even if you switch the battle system from active to a wait system, which basically it just pauses the game a lot like what BioWare did in the first Knights of the Old Republic, where you can like input your commands and whatnot. This one, it just basically freezes the screen for you and lets you decide what your next move is, not next series of moves. So that's pretty cool. I don't like that you had to have watched Kingsglaive to really understand the story. It's something that I'm just vehemently against, and I always have been. Having to use another, or basically needing to see or read another piece of medium to understand the medium that you actually are playing or watching or reading. I just really have always felt that, something like an accompanying movie or book should more elaborate but not give you vital information that you would need. And I didn't watch Kingsglaive first. I held off on everything Final Fantasy 15 until the game came out, because I wanted to be surprised by everything I did. And there are chunks that I feel that I'm missing from the story. They also did kind of a cast-off death scene, which I'm not too thrilled with. Maybe it's just a mulligan and it's a misdirect, where Noctis's dad dies, and that's not a spoiler. You face that maybe about 3 or 4 hours into the game. But it's done by Ignis handing you a newspaper saying he's dead. And I'm kind of like, that's kind of a powerful moment to not show, but okay. So maybe it's not real. I'm hoping it's not real, because if that's the way that they show a dad's, or do a king's death, that's kind of lame. But, but you can't really compare this game to older Final Fantasies, because everything about it is new. And this next thing I'm going to show you after a quick little jump is my most favorite new thing. Alright guys, sorry for the quick jump, but I needed to access some menus in Final Fantasy 15. You can kind of see what I have up on my TV screen, which is Noctis and Core fighting a Magitech armor. This is from the coolest new feature, which is Random Photos by Prompto. It's come up with some pretty awesome images, and I like it when you go to a hotel or you camp out and you get to look through what he's taken. And sometimes it comes out with really cool images like this that you can save and share around all that you want. And it's in that Be Terrible and Nerd Life are going to do a giveaway. If you're playing Final Fantasy 15, no matter where you're at, if you've got a bunch of cool pictures, pick out your coolest one, leave it in the comment section on this video on the Facebook fan page, Nerd Life with Chris Kikukubiak, and me and Jeremy, the head honcho of Be Terrible, are going to pick a winner, and you will get a free shirt that says Be Terrible Productions on it, the logo. It's pretty cool. But I love this because it makes the game feel more alive. It makes the characters feel more alive. And, yeah. Magitech armor fighting. It was awesome. Almost as awesome as me taking the chance and throwing caution to the wind and driving at night when I was a level 12, which I do not suggest because I fought a level 30 Iron Giant, and while I defeated it, go me, I used up my entire stock of inventory only to 2 minutes down the road, fight a 12 level higher fire giant, or not fight, run away screaming like a little girl who skinned her knee because it was a 42 and I was 12. Yeah, that happened. But that's the first part of my diary. I had planned this to be 4 parts. Don't know if that's going to happen. It might be longer, it might be shorter. I don't know. We'll see how much gaming I get in. But I want to hear about your experiences too. What you think about the game. You know, if you like the magic system. I mean, whatever you want to talk about. A lot to talk about. It's such a big game. So leave it down in the comment section. As always, like, subscribe, share, and hopefully you're enjoying the game as much as me. I'm not going to say that it's great just yet, but it's really good. I'm hoping by the end of the journey I can put it up there in the upper echelon of Final Fantasy games with 7 and 6 and 4. So with that, guys, keep it terrible and enjoy your playthrough.